so much for tuning in. I'm very, very honored to have one of my mentors in here, Michael Regan. He's a business life coach at Building Champions and just a huge mentor of mine. He's a person who really lives what he preaches. And thank you so much for being on here. As we're closing the year here in December, I thought it would be a cool thing to just kind of go over some things for preparing for 2026. And who better than have than a business and life coach here to see how we can get the most out of 2026. So I want to start in just like what the forecasts are. So now a lot of the main players, NAR, Redfin, Realtor.com, Zillow, have all come out with their forecasts or projections for what they see happening just specifically to the housing market. So I want to focus a little bit on the top 3 points that we've seen from there that I've taken away from there. One is really good for the mortgage industry is that mortgage rates should continue to decline. Most of them agree on that. The average 6.3% for the year, which is down from where they've been the last 3 years. So that would be a positive thing for us, positive things for buyers as well. Also, projection is that wage growth will outpace the price appreciation of homes, which will also help a little bit with the affordability piece, which is also a very welcome thing because affordability has been a huge, huge challenge here in the last several years. And then that will also lead to higher transaction volume. So those are 3 key takeaways: a more balanced market. And I do see that all kind of playing out. I feel like this is a projection where I think they'll probably have it right, but who knows? It's really hard to ever project. But I think those are 3 key takeaways I've had from all those. And you can see these charts up here as well that will kind of show what the Redfin, Realtor.com and whatnot is showing. Do you have any kind of takes on that? Do you think?
Yeah,
I mean, it's hard to project, but
it is. And I've learned over the years that I want to spend time looking at these types of projections and ask myself the question of how am I prepared to win in the event that that projection is true? And then what is my contingency plan if in fact that projection turns out to be flat or not true? And so it's always good for me to orient toward it. And I do tend to agree with you. I think, in fact, I really like your second point. I don't think we get enough conversation around the difference between the wage growth and, in fact, the appreciation of home values. We focus a lot on the affordability and in that one issue, but we don't talk about wages, which I think leads to an opportunity for folks like you to really be an advisor, to help people as their wages are increasing, but in acknowledging a marketplace in which values are growing as well, how they can be really disciplined in the way that they spend and save in order to take advantage of a market rather than feeling like it's always out of reach. So I'm really glad that that's a point you're highlighting.
yeah, that one thing too that I felt was interesting is like Realtor.com put in more of a regional perspective also, and the Northwest, so the Portland area, it said some very, very small price appreciation for the year, and actually transaction volume would be down in the Portland area. And Seattle area transaction volume would be up, I think 4%, but a price appreciation would even maybe be slightly negative in the Seattle area. So it'll be interesting to see, but pretty flat price appreciation and hopefully more wage growth does help.
Yeah, and I think most of your audience knows this. When you look at a market like Seattle, it's made up of dozens of markets within that metro, and same with Portland. So even if Portland overall turns out to be flat as the projections are suggesting, there are still pockets of Portland that will experience some real opportunity. And so the beauty of that is understanding as a local lender, working with other local real estate professionals, how to really understand what's going on in the heartbeat of the local communities in which you serve. And I think that's what I love about getting to coach lenders and realtors who focus on those local communities is they can understand the trends in their overall market, but they're very hyper-focused on where those opportunities are going to help them help customers within that local community. And frankly, you work in a community in which I know a lot of people want to be in. And so I know you're going to have more at-bats even in a flat market than maybe someone who's in a different portion of the market.
Yeah, that's well said. And I like your perspective of and that's part of the reason I'm really excited to have you on is just like, I mean, the projections are what they are, but we can control the controllables. And so as we set into a 2026, I've asked you kind of just to prepare, what would be like your top 3 tips for somebody to try to get the most out of business life planning for the upcoming year?
Well, at the time that we're recording this, I think it's a perfect time of year to lay out a 3-point strategy that I hope anyone can understand. It's not a complicated strategy. It's an important one if you're going to take advantage of growth. If you don't want to grow, then just skip this part. It won't impact you in any meaningful way, because if you're not trying to grow, then you've probably figured out how to hang out where you currently are. But for folks that are interested in growing, one of the things I ask them to think about is what exactly are they trying to grow? And so often as producers, we're tempted to think we're growing the top line. We're closing more volume, or we're closing more units, helping more net families. And all of those things are very positive things to be able to measure, but they sometimes don't allow us to look for other areas that are also growth. And growth could be in things like net profitability. So learning how to work more effectively and efficiently with the business you already have, which creates more margin. And that margin can be used for lots of things. It can be used to do more prospecting, but it could also be used to spend more time with your health or with your family or with your hobbies. And so that's where, coaching through a life plan in the context of a business plan is really important. Is I want someone to get clear on what growth really means to them, so that I can help them define what a winning plan is going to be for their targeted growth. So it's not always going to be just more loans or more houses sold. Sometimes there's a way to net a better quality of life, even if we don't move the top line, but we still increase the bottom line.
I think that's really well said. And I love that and appreciate that so much about the Building Champions kind of way of integrating personal growth with business growth.
Well, it's funny. We've been doing this for 30 years now, which is crazy for me to think about the number of people we've been able to influence and the lives we've been able to impact over 30 years by simply inserting this idea that a life plan is your best business tool. And that's very counterintuitive to people who haven't experienced that. They tend to hear, oh, life plan, that sounds like life coaching. That sounds like kind of the soft science or pseudoscience. And while I understand the critique if you haven't experienced it, when we walk through it with business leaders of global organizations, right on down to local leaders in the market, we always focus on it because we understand that if I can help you define what winning looks like in all the areas of your life, then we're focused on designing something that's designed to lift and raise the tide in all of those areas. The last thing I want to do is, run into Heather and have her say, hey, Michael, thanks for helping Peder win all these awards this year. He's killing it, and we never see the guy anymore. That doesn't feel like a win to me. I want folks to experience winning in all those areas. So if it impacts their health, if it impacts their personal finances, if it impacts their personal relationships, I want them to think through all that. And a life plan is a tool. So that's maybe one of my tips then as we transition this is carve out some time to review your life plan. If you've drafted one, it's a great time of year to do some accounting. Scorecard yourself. How did I do in all those areas that I said I was going to put effort into this year? And is there an opportunity to improve upon those efforts in the year to come? All of those things were written at one point when you wrote that life plan toward a version of the future that you were excited about. So are you making progress? Are you closing the gap? If you've never written a life plan before, my only challenge to you is, why wouldn't this be the year to try? Why wouldn't this be the year to sit down and think through all those areas that are important to you? Lay them out side by side so that you see that as I am trying to grow in one area, it impacts all the others. And so you won't hear me talk a lot about work-life balance because I really don't know what that is. I'll speak in the terms of harmony because I'm trying to harmonize, just like a musical term. I'm trying to harmonize lots of things that fit on the same sheet of music, and I want them to sound really good. So if I'm going to design a life plan, I want to be winning at work and at home. I want to be making a difference with my friends and family and my partners and my customers. I want all of it. And the only way I know how to do that is to lay it all out together. So that's my first tip is make sure that you're reviewing your life plan if you have it, or if you don't, what a great time to draft one.
Yeah. What other tip would you have?
I think another thing that gets missed this time of year, maybe not missed, but it's an opportunity that doesn't get maximized, is people tend to be so forward thinking that they forget to review the year they just had in depth.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to spend that much time thinking back over the last 12 months to scorecard how they did against what they said they would do when they did this exercise a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
And yet there's so much learning in that exercise. If I'm willing to sit down and take the time to journal out, and I have a tool for this and happy to share it if that's helpful to any of your audience, but it's a role reflection journal, and they're questions specifically designed to get you to go back and think through all of the learning opportunities you had. As you do that, it allows you to be more purposeful when you plan ahead. So instead of just randomly picking new goals and setting a new plan for yourself and hoping that this is going to be the year that it's all different, why don't we take a look at what you've already done and review the game film? I think that's one of a coach's most important jobs, is their ability to help a client break down the game film. Let's review the year you just had, and let's be honest about where the things you did really well were, and let's be honest about the things that maybe you confused reasons with excuses. And we don't want to repeat that heading into the new year. So that's my tip number 2, is have time carved out to really reflect before you design your business plan.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to lead to the third. Once I've done a good review of my life plan, I've got a good overarching view of where I want to grow as a person. And now I've reviewed my professional year that I've just had. I think at some point it's time to put your business plan together. And the business planning process for some folks is brain damage. They hate it because all they see is spreadsheets and charts and graphs. And it's the kind of exercise that they put a lot of energy into, and then they save it, and they don't know, they never look at it. They don't know what to do with it. It felt like, I hope my manager was happy. I just want to get this over with. I really want to help people boil this down to a simple one-page focus plan that they're excited to look at every day. So as they look at that focus plan, it's in alignment with their personal goals. It's in alignment with their professional goals. And then they treat it like a GPS. It's like the axis and the radius of that address that you plug into your GPS. That's your destination. The beauty of life is it gives you a fast route, a short route, a scenic route. You've got options, but let's stay in any of those options moving toward that personal and professional future that you've defined in those previous 2 exercises. So put that business plan together so that we can develop a one-page focus plan. And my hope is that lightens the pressure you might feel from the typical business plan and get you excited about executing every day in 2026.
Yeah.
That's what I see.
Well, what do you keep on a simple one-page plan? Like, what would be the key focuses? Just like a few disciplines that you want to focus on?
For sure. And so the frame of this really isn't complicated. Any of you that are watching can envision this. I want to have 2 or 3 personal and 2 or 3 professional outcomes. I want to make them measurable. I want to make them specific enough to where we could sit here at the end of that period of time, whether I do that quarterly or annually, and I would measure that up and say, I'm really happy with my progress. So I need measurable outcomes. That then creates clarity over, well, then what are the disciplines that I'd have to commit to achieve that outcome? And sometimes those disciplines are the things I do daily. Sometimes they're the things I might do once a week. Sometimes they're the things I might do twice a month. The frequency will show itself once you commit to the discipline needed to achieve that goal. And then every once in a while, a project is required. You maybe it's not a discipline that's going to help you get the goal. It's something you got to dedicate some time to. So let's say you're going to really do a better job of serving your database, just as an example of an outcome. And you've decided that you really want 50% of your closed business next year to come directly from your database. So that's either repeat customers or referrals from the folks that are in your database. Well, the discipline is you've got to now spend time reaching out to those people. So those are the calls you're going to make, the emails you're going to send, the text messages, the videos you're going to record, the events you're going to invite them to. All of the things that you do are disciplines, but maybe the project you need to dedicate some time to is maybe you haven't really spent time in your CRM in a while and your data is not really clean. And in order to execute really well, you maybe need to spend 4 to 6 hours really securing the quality of your data, making sure you got the names, the addresses, the phone numbers, the email, making sure it's a good, clean data set. So when you enter into your discipline mode, you're in go mode. You don't have any stress. So disciplines and projects sometimes work together, but they're all aimed toward those measurable outcomes, both personally and professionally.
I like it. Good stuff, Michael. Anything else for the good of the cause of just if somebody's kind of new to this too?
Yeah, I'd say be gracious with yourself, because most people don't tend to rise to the level of their goals. They tend to fall to the level of the systems they create. And those of you that have read Atomic Habits know where I just robbed that quote from. It's really important to have some grace to yourself. And if you don't have good systems, and by systems, I mean simple things, like if you don't have a good morning routine, if you don't manage your email or your calendar well, if you don't have a good production process that you can repeat over and over again, these are areas in which your goals might be good, but it's really hard to achieve them because you don't have the system to support it. So maybe where you need to spend some time in the first quarter is get your house in order, get your systems in order, start waking up on time, start getting your morning routine dialed in so you come to work ready to focus, start finishing your day on time so your family knows that they can expect you home for dinner, get a good night's sleep. Basic things, but the things that set you up to execute really well when you want to aim toward those goals. So yeah, if someone's new at this, I'd say give yourself some grace. You've got to get your house in order before you start aiming for those big goals. And then once you do, get after it.
I like it. I like it. Good stuff. So Christmas time here coming up, and I was curious, do you have any family traditions or any like activities you love to do this time of year?
Yeah, it's really funny as your kids grow up and they leave your house and they move to different places. Your traditions become the things you used to do, and now you've got to build new ones. And it's fun doing that. I think one of the things we've learned splitting time between Lake Oswego and Scottsdale is the version of Christmas we do here in Lake Oswego feels a lot more traditional. It feels, it's cold. It's dark. You're in the winter mode. So we're coming back up here. Everybody, we're bringing everybody back in. So, Max has to fly in from sunny Scottsdale. Sydney won't mind coming in from San Francisco because it's dark and cold there too. Yeah. And Maddie lives here. So we'll gather here. And then we're going to go out and go on some adventures right after the holidays. As a family, we've got some different things going on. But yeah, I think you really do have to rethink those traditions, because the things we used to do with the kids when they're little, I mean, if your kids are little, I know you've got young ones at home, just enjoy the heck out of that time because it goes fast, and it's hard to know how to pivot when you're in the tweener season. I suppose once the grandkids come, that'll be another season.
Yeah, it is interesting how it always is shifting. One of my favorite things to do is there's the Christmas ships to check out. I love doing that, and they're up in Bremerton too. We're gonna check those out this weekend. And Christmas like cookie decorating as a tradition we've done with my family, and it's fun to do with the boys too. They enjoy it, and they taste really good too. Those sugar cookies.
I don't know anybody that would complain about that.
It's a good one.
That's not bad.
But also this time of year, it's bowl season, and Ducks are having another good year. Where do you see, who's your team, and who do you see winning it all here this year? Back to projections.
Yeah, I know a lot of people love this college football playoff, and with the open portal now, it's a different animal. It's a different. I mean, it's almost like watching a version of the pro game at the college level. We're all still attached to the logos that we love, but these players move around now in the portal, and so I'm having some trouble with this one. I'm a Mizzou guy at heart. I grew up in Missouri.
Okay, yeah. Show me state.
And so the Tigers, that is the Show Me State. The Tigers are in the SEC, which is a tough league. They played really well this year with down two quarterbacks, and they still found a way to get themselves to a bowl game. So I'm going to follow them playing against Virginia, and that's going to be fun. And they're out in Jacksonville at the Gator Bowl, so I'll definitely pay attention to that. And then I graduated from ASU, so Forkham Devils. They're going to get to play Duke, and they go out to El Paso to the Sun Bowl. And so I'm going to pay attention to those because those are the games I care about. But I'll be watching the college football. I guess here I'm going to pick a dark horse.
Yeah.
I really like these Indiana Hoosiers. That's a fun team.
Man.
That's a fun team.
They are a good team. I was impressed. I mean, it just seems like Indiana you never associate with football.
Basketball,
yeah,
for
sure. But it's just hard to make it a believer. But watching some of that Ohio State game, man, they look complete team.
It's really true. And I know you love your Ducks, but try not to let your emotions. Where are you going in this playoff?
I'm still going green and yellow.
Okay.
Come on, Ducks.
Okay.
Show me the Ducks.
Okay.
This could be their year. I don't know. I think they definitely have a tough road. I actually honestly think their road is easier this year than last year when they were actually ranked number one. It'll be tough. I think there's some really good teams out there, but I think it'll be fun. I'll pick the Ducks. Take my chances.
You heard it here.
Yeah. Heard it here first. Another thing I love to do is just do a song of the month. And do you listen to Spotify? Do you do Spotify?
I'm an Apple Music guy.
Apple Music, okay.
But they're kind of tomato.
Yeah, a little bit. So Spotify comes up with something that's called the Spotify Wrapped, where it kind of gives you your year in review. I don't know if Apple does that too, but this year I was tuning in my Spotify Wrapped, and my album of the year was a David Gray Dear Life album, and so I'm going to do a song from that. Acceptance is the song. It's a good low-key kind of December song too.
What kind of vibe is it?
It's kind of low-key, easy listening. Do you know much of David Gray?
I'm going to have to check it out.
Oh, you have to check it out. He's a really good background, like easygoing dinner music kind of vibe.
All right, that's good. Yeah, you and I talked a lot about music. The problem that, of course, you're going to run into with me is I am an old soul. Like, I love
That's a good thing, though.
60s, 70s. I guess I grew up with 80s music, although I do not fall into the, hair metal. I can't stand most of that.
Oh, yeah.
But I do tend to like 70s rock, so I'm drawn to my old classic bands. But, there's a band called the Band Feel. That's a brand new band that has that old classic rock vibe. They're kind of a southern rock. So if you could picture like a Leonard Skinner or a ZZ Top, a band with that southern gritty groove. And they've got just some really great new music that has that old classic rock kind of feel. And their EP is Into the Sun. I'm into that one. And there's a track called Icarus. And if you remember the story of Icarus, he was the legend of the one who flew too close to the sun and burned up and died. So there's a little history lesson in there if you choose to listen to the lyrics.
All right. I'll check that one out for sure. I like it. Well, thank you very much, Michael. Thanks again for coming in. Thanks for your friendship. You are definitely a mentor for me, and I appreciate it.
Peder, it's great to be with you. I just want to say to your audience and your followers, it's been really fun watching these fireside chats over the years. You do a great job of not only blending some of your personality into the mix, but a lot of the content and the quality that people expect from you as a professional. And so when I think about what I described earlier, you're living it. You're living that harmony between your personal and professional life. And I really hope your audience appreciates the time you put into this every month.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you very much. Thanks for tuning in. Have a very Merry Christmas. If we can ever be of assistance, let us know. I'll put our information down below. And thanks again.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.